You're standing in a grocery store aisle. Thousands of products surround you. Bright lights overhead, music playing softly, and somewhere in your chest, a low, quiet hum of anxiety that you cannot quite explain. You are not in danger, you know that, and yet something inside you is scanning, watching the exits, calculating, bracing. That feeling did not come from nowhere. It came from a time when everything around you actually was trying to kill you. And the strangest part, your brain never got the memo that things changed. You are living in the 21st century, but your brain is running software that was written 2 million years ago. And that gap between the world you live in and the world your brain thinks you live in explains almost everything strange about being human. Think about the last time you panicked over an email, or lay awake at 3 a.m. rehearsing a conversation that happened 3 days ago, or felt your heart spike when your phone buzzed with an unknown number. None of those things can hurt you, but your brain does not know that. It treats them the same way it would treat a predator crouching in tall grass. Here's why. Around 2.5 million years ago, your ancestors lived in open savanna environments in East Africa. Neuroscientist and evolutionary biologist David Geary has spent decades studying how the ancestral environment shaped the modern mind. His research points to one simple truth. The human brain did not evolve to make you happy. It evolved to keep you alive. And keeping you alive, back then, required a completely different set of priorities. Predators were real. Strangers were dangerous. Food was scarce. Every decision was high stakes. One wrong move, a missed sound, a moment of distraction, a second of trust in the wrong direction, and that was it. You were gone. And more importantly, your genes were gone with you. So your brain developed a solution. It built a threat detection system so sensitive, so hair-trigger fast, that it would rather fire 1,000 false alarms than miss one real danger. Neuroscientist Joseph LeDoux called this the low road. Before your conscious mind even registers what you were seeing, a structure deep in your brain called the amygdala has already assessed the threat, flooded your body with adrenaline, and begun preparing you to run or fight. All of this happens in milliseconds, before you can think. That system saved your ancestors' lives, over and over and over again. And it is still in you, running at full power, in a world full of Wi-Fi and spreadsheets and traffic jams. Your brain never evolved a way to distinguish between a tiger and a deadline, between social rejection on the savannah, which meant exile, which often meant death, and social rejection on the internet, which means a stranger clicked dislike on a video. To your amygdala, it's the same signal, it's the same threat, and it demands the same response. This is not a malfunction. This is the system working exactly as designed. The problem is that the design is ancient. Psychologist Paul Rozin at the University of Pennsylvania studied what he called the negativity bias, the tendency of the human brain to register and remember negative events far more intensely than positive ones. His research found that bad experiences stick about twice as hard as good ones. You can have 20 good interactions in a day and one bad one, and when you lay your head on the pillow that night, it's the bad one that replays. Why? Because on the savannah, missing a threat was fatal. Missing a reward was merely unfortunate. Your brain learned to weight danger more heavily than pleasure, and it never stopped. Think about what that means for your daily life. Every time someone gives you a compliment and a criticism in the same breath, you remember the criticism. Every time an important project goes 90% right, you fixate on the 10% that failed. Every time you walk into a room full of people who are smiling at you and one person is frowning, your eyes find that person. That's not your weakness. That's your ancient software doing its job, scanning, calculating, finding the thing that could hurt you. Now here's where it gets stranger. Your brain doesn't just watch for threats. It builds models of the world so it doesn't have to start from scratch every time. It looks for patterns. It generalizes. It takes past experience and uses it to predict the future. This is what psychologists call predictive coding, and it's one of the most powerful things the human brain does. But it creates a problem. When your brain is wired to expect danger, it starts to see danger in ambiguous situations. A neutral face reads as unfriendly. Silence after a message reads as anger. A closed door reads as exclusion. Your brain fills in the gaps with the worst available option because for 2 million years, filling in the gaps with the worst option was the strategy most likely to keep you breathing. Researcher Alia Crum at Stanford University has demonstrated something remarkable. The stories your brain tells about a situation change how your body physically responds to them. Not metaphorically, literally. People who were told that a physical task was hard exercise burned more calories than people who did the identical task but were told it was easy. The mind doesn't just observe the world, it shapes what the world does to your body. This is the cave your brain still lives in, a world where perception is survival, where what you expect to find is what you find, where the stories you tell yourself have real, measurable physical consequences. And right now, your brain is still writing those stories about your relationships, about your worth, about whether the world is safe or dangerous, and it's writing them using the same basic grammar it used 2 million years ago on a dry, hot plain where everything could kill you. So what does this look like in practice? You get a text that says only, "We need to talk." Before you can stop it, your brain has already drafted 3 worst-case scenarios, elevated your cortisol, and begun preparing your body for conflict. Your ancient threat detection system treated a string of words on a screen as equivalent to a predator at the edge of the campfire light. You walk into a new environment, a party, a first day at work, a new city, and you feel a persistent low-grade unease that doesn't match anything dangerous about the situation. Your hippocampus, the part of your brain that maps familiar territory, is working overtime. Novelty was dangerous. New places meant new threats. The unease is your brain trying to make the unfamiliar familiar as fast as possible. You catastrophize. One bad moment becomes a terrible week, becomes evidence that your life is falling apart. Your brain is doing something it evolved to do, extrapolating from small data to large conclusions, quickly, so you could make survival decisions before all the facts were in. It saved your ancestors. It exhausts you. But here's the counterintuitive twist. None of this means you were broken. None of this means you were weak or neurotic or defective. The people around you are doing the same thing. Every single human on the planet is walking around with a brain that is spectacularly well-suited to a world that no longer exists. The anxiety, the overthinking, the social scanning, the negativity bias, these are not bugs in an otherwise working system. They are features of a system that was optimized for a world with no agriculture, no cities, no doctors, no safety nets. A world where being wrong cost everything. You are not anxious because something is wrong with you. You are anxious because something was very, very right about your ancestors. And the moment you understand that, the moment you see your own brain clearly for what it is, something starts to shift. Because awareness is the one thing your ancient brain didn't have. Your ancestors couldn't step outside the system and observe it. They just lived inside it. You can. Right now, you're doing it. You're looking at your own threat detection system from the outside. You're seeing the wiring, and that distance, even a small one, changes everything. Researchers at the University of Michigan, led by Ethan Kross, have studied something they call self-distancing, the ability to observe your own thoughts and emotions from a slight remove, as if you were watching a friend go through them. They found that this single cognitive shift reduces the intensity of emotional pain, increases clear thinking, and even reduces inflammation markers in the body. Not years of therapy, not medication, just the act of watching your own brain from a slightly different angle. And you can practice that, not by suppressing the ancient signals, but by naming them. When the amygdala fires and your chest tightens, your brain activates the same cave-era protocols it always did. But you can add one word, one label, emphasis, threat response, ancient signal, cave brain. That act of labeling activates your prefrontal cortex, the newest, most rational part of your brain, and slightly loosens the grip of the older system. You're not eliminating 2 million years of evolution. You are creating a conversation between the parts. So tonight, when you feel that low, quiet hum of anxiety you can't explain, you'll know what it is. It's a brain doing its job, a very old job in a world it was never built for. And for the first time in 2 million years, you can answer it. You can say, I see you, I know what you're doing, and I'm safe. That's the most modern thing a human being can do. Because for 99.9% of our history, no one knew enough to say it. You do.